Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to this session of Class 6 Mathematics, and I am your Anu again from mathschool.com. Today, after passing 4 chapters, we are into the 5th chapter, that is Understanding Elementary Shapes. This is actually a continuation of your 4th chapter, that is Basic Geometrical Ideas. We have been introduced to some geometrical ideas in the chapter 4, and with those ideas we'll proceed to this chapter, Understanding Elementary Shapes. As the name goes, understanding elementary shapes is all about your elementary shapes like polygons and even into some 3D objects. So first, before starting the chapter, let's have a small recap. We know all the geometrical ideas we have, or the geometrical constructions or shapes anyway, all starts with a point, a single point. Okay, so the point we put on a plane or in space denotes a particular position or the location of that particular point in space or in plane like this board or in a paper. Okay, so this point is dimensionless. That is, it doesn't have any length or breadth or height. So this is dimensionless, we say. And when we have 2 points, we join them together to form a line. And this is single dimension. That is, this has just the length. Okay. Now, when we have some non-collinear points and we join them together, we have a particular shape. And this is two-dimensional shape. Two-dimension means it has some length and breadth to it. So, it has 2 dimensions. And when we move further still, we have shapes like this: cube, cuboid, cone, cylinder, sphere. They all have some thickness. So they are 3-dimensional figures which have length, breadth and height to it. Do you understand? So starting with a point, this is dimensionless and this denotes a particular location, or it denotes a position of that point in space or in a plane or paper. Okay, you understand? Now when we move on to the line, okay, so how do we measure the lines? So what is the techniques we use to measure lines? So imagine that we don't have any scales or some instruments, tapes to measure the line. What we do is, I draw a line. There are given 2 lines given, AB and CD. Imagine CD, and there is another line, EF. Okay, so just by observing and comparing, see, I observe and compare all the 3 lines, and I say CD is the longest line and EF is the shortest line and AB is in between the 2 lines. So that is how I say the measure of these 3 lines, just by observing and comparing. But I won't be able to give the exact measurement of the line by this technique. Okay, so the next method I can use is, I can draw a line AB, and if I am asked to reproduce the same line AB in another piece of paper or in another place, what I do is I take a tracing paper. You know tracing paper? You have the tracing paper, you place the tracing paper upon the line, you trace the line and you draw it in some other place, so that we get another line called CD, which is exactly same as that of AB. And here too, if we don't know the measurement too, we will be able to reproduce the line by the tracing method. But the tracing method is limited to a particular place or to a specific measurement. That is, for shorter lines or shorter shapes it is possible. When it goes to some longer measurements, it is not possible. Okay, so what do we do is, the next method is, we draw a line AB, and if we are asked to reproduce the same using a scale, what we do is we measure it using the scale. We have a scale and we have a 0 marking here. 0 starts from here, 1 and so on. Okay, so we have a scale to measure. So we measure the line and we draw another line using the scale exactly with the same measurement, isn't it? So that is what we do. Or by using the divider, we have the divider in a geometry box with both the ends. It has needles. So what we do is we measure the line with the divider. We keep the divider stretched and we have the same radius, and we cut an arc here and name it as CD. So that CD is the exact replica of AB. So by using ruler and divider method, we'll be able to reproduce lines, or we'll be able to draw lines similar to the given lines. Okay, but the method of using rulers can make errors. Like, what do we call parallax error? Parallax error is the error that is due to because of using rulers. That is, we keep the rulers on the line. When we measure, if we see it from here, from sideways, or from this side or this side, the point, the 0 and the line, starting with the line and the 0 may not be exact coincidence. Okay, it may tend to shift to this side or that side. So it may cause an error of some millimeters, some 1 or 2 millimeters. Okay, so to avoid such parallax error, what do we do is we place the scale upon the line, near to the line, near to the line, and we view the the division, 0 division of the scale and the starting point of the line exactly from the top. So from the top we get a clear, we get the precise measurement, or accurate measurement, so that we can avoid parallax error in measuring distances. Do you understand? So this is regarding lines. Now with lines, we have already seen, with lines or rays, when these meet together at a particular point, at a meeting point, when they join at a point, an angle is formed. Isn't it? We have learned that an angle is formed when two lines or rays meet. See, like this, if two rays meet or two lines meet, we get an angle between them, isn't it? Now we'll see the relationship between the angles formed and the lines. So there is some angle formed when two lines meet. So what are the types of angles formed when lines meet? We'll see them one by one. As we have seen earlier, so this is a straight line I've drawn. You know, we use a protractor to measure angles, isn't it? So when I keep the protractor here like this is the center part of the protractor. 0 reading is on both sides, as well as 180 degrees on both sides. Okay. So now when I place the protractor on a straight line, so what angle will I measure? Will I measure 0 or from 0 to 180? So the angle made by the straight line is, see, there is no inclination here. If there is an inclination, we say an angle is formed. But regarding a straight line, there is no inclination. But when I start from here, I measure, see, from 0, I start measuring, I come to 180 degrees. Isn't it? I reach 180 degrees. So the angle made by the straight line can be said 0 degree or 180 degrees. And this angle is called a straight angle, because the angle formed in a straight line is called straight angle. Okay. Now, just half of this. See, the middle of the protractor, what is the angle formed? With the protractor, you will be able to identify the angle here, that is 90 degrees. So center of the protractor shows 90 degrees, isn't it? So the line here shows 90 degrees. So whenever you have a line like this, see it is right angles, we say it is right angles to each other. What do we mean by right angle? It is 90 degree. The angle is 90 degree. So when the angle is 90 degree, we call the angle as right angle. Now, see you have right angle here. So when I draw angles within the right angle or within 90 degrees, less than 90 degrees, see these types of angles within 90 degrees. These types of angles, what are they called? They are called acute angle. So acute angle are always less than 90 degrees. See, less than, just like acute angle you have less than. So just remember this, acute angle is always less than 90 degrees. Okay, so we have done with 180 degree, 0 degree, 90 degree, less than 90 degree, that is acute angle. Now what is angle more than 90 degrees? When I draw more than 90 degrees, okay, so this angle is more than it. See, these type of angles are more than 90 degrees. So when it is more than 90 degrees, we call the angle as obtuse angle. Always remember obtuse angle. Okay, obtuse angle is always greater than 90 degrees. Okay, and you also note that this is not, greater than 90 degree, but it doesn't go beyond 180. It falls within 180, isn't it? So greater than 180 or less than, greater than 90 or less than 180 is known as obtuse angle. You understand? Now you have done with less than 90, 90 degree, more than 90, 180 or. Now what is this angle more than 180? So I should have an angle more than 182, isn't it? So these types of angles are called reflex angle. But how do we construct reflect angles which are more than 180 degrees? See, when this is more than 180, the angle below has to be less than 180, isn't it? Because the total angle, we know, total angle around a point is what? It is 360 degree. Because here it is 180, upper portion which is 180 and the lower portion is 180. So 180 plus 180 will give you 360, isn't it? So the angle, total angle around a point is 360 degrees. So totally you have 360 degree. If this angle, reflex angle is given, what I need to do is subtract the angle, given angle from 360 degrees. So from 360 degrees, if you take this angle, you will get this. This is nothing but the obtuse angle. See, it is inverted. It is just upside down. So keep the protractor upside down and measure this angle and draw. You will naturally get the reflex angle above. Okay, so it can be drawn like this too. Or you can draw just a straight line first, and then the remaining part you calculate, and then keep the protractor upside down and draw a line here, so that even you will get a reflex angle by that way too. Do you understand? So these are the types of angles: straight angle, right angle 90 degree, acute angle less than 90, greater than 90, less than 180 is obtuse angle, more than 180 reflex angle, and the total angle is 360 degrees. Now we say degrees, and degrees are nothing but, degree is nothing but the unit of angle. We know that, isn't it? So remember all the types of angles. Now we'll just name the lines which have these kind of angles. Some kinds of angles which are formed in lines have specific names for the lines. Okay, we'll now study about it. So we have read about angles. We combine lines with angles. Therefore, we'll name the lines too. Okay. Now, we know this is a straight line, isn't it? Because it has 180 degrees. 180 degrees, it's a straight line. Straight line always has an angle of 180 degrees. So, remember this is a straight line. Okay, when you are asked for straight lines, the angle formed by straight lines are either 0 degrees or 180 degrees. Okay, so that is the angle related to straight line. Now, the angle formed by two lines is 90 degrees. Okay, so what are these type of lines called with 90 degree in them? They are called perpendicular lines. See, in last classes you would have constructed perpendicular lines, perpendicular bisectors, isn't it? Like draw a line with O as center more than half of radius, cut an arc on both sides with the same radius, with A as center, cut another arc on the same arc so that it joins both the arcs, and this is the point. This is the point where the perpendicular bisector, this is a perpendicular bisector, it meets the line OA and it divides the line OA into two equal halves. So this is what we call perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular means it is 90 degree with the angle, 90 degree with the line OA. Bisector means it divides the line into half. It bisects the line into two equal halves. So that is why it is called perpendicular bisectors. You would have done that, isn't it? So these type of lines are called perpendicular lines. Now what about these lines? See, which doesn't meet at all. It doesn't meet anywhere. Okay, but they maintain a constant distance between them. Just like railway tracks. Example for these kind of lines are railway tracks, isn't it? They keep a distance between them and they go endlessly. So like that, two lines, when they don't meet each other at any point, then they have the angle between them as 0 and they are called parallel lines. Okay, do you understand? These are called parallel lines. Okay, now if I have many lines meeting at a point, I just take two lines meeting at a point. They have a common point, they cut each other, they cross each other at a particular point, then they are called the intersecting lines. The angles can be angle formed by the lines in the center, can be any kind of angle. Okay, but just note the angle formed by them. Okay, the angle formed by them in the middle is the vertically opposite angles. That is, if I name this 1 and this 2 and this 3 and 4, this 1 and 2 are equal. Angle 1 is equal to angle 2. Likewise, angle 3 is equal to angle 4. Where in intersecting lines, the vertically opposite angles, this angle vertically opposite angle and this angle vertically opposite angles. So the vertically opposite angles are equal. That is, 1 is equal to 2 and 3 is equal to 4. Okay, so that you should remember. In intersecting lines, the vertically opposite angles are always equal. Okay, and here if you take, see, let us take it here. I extend this here too, you have 90 degrees, isn't it? This is also 90 degree. So the BOC line is perpendicular to OA. OA is perpendicular to BOC. Anyway, we can say. So this is also 90 degree and this is also 90 degree. Now these two add up to what we get? 180 degree, because this is a straight line, isn't it? BOC is a straight line. So whenever in a straight line you have some angle adjacent to each other which add up to 180 degree. That is, if they lie on a straight line, they have to lie on a straight line and they are adjacent to each other, then those adjacent angles are called like AOB, angle AOB and angle AOC. They form a linear pair. Okay, don't forget this. Do remember this. AB, AOB and AOC. That is, AOB and AOC are called linear pair. So it need not be necessarily 90 degrees to form a linear pair. It can be any way, like, see, you can have it like this too. But they should be in a straight line and they should be adjacent to each other. Okay, they can be one can be obtuse and another can be acute, or you can have it like this too. See, 3 acute angles, you can have 3 acute angles, or one right angle and the rest of the two as acute angles. You can have any way, but they need to lie on the same line and they need to be adjacent to each other. If they are adjacent to each other, then they are called linear pairs. Do you understand? So by having linear pairs, we'll be able to find one angle if one angle is given. Okay, like this. See, in vertically opposite angles, if in all the four angles, if one angle is given, you will be able to find out the rest of the angles. How? See, if angle 1 is given, okay, just observe. If angle 1 is given, you take this straight line. If angle 1 is given, see these, the 1 and 3 or 1 and 4. You can take either way. I take 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are what? They are the angles in a straight line. So 1 and 3 form linear pair. What do we mean by linear pair? 1 and 3 together form 180 degrees. So if 1 is known, you can find 3 by subtracting it from 180, isn't it? So subtract it by 180, you get the angle 3. If you get the angle 3, 3 and 4 are equal because they are vertically opposite angles. So you can find out 4, and already 1 is given there. Vertically opposite angles are equal, that is 1 and 2 are equal, so 1 is equal to 2. So that is how we find all the angles, by having a knowledge of vertically opposite angles are equal and the linear pair which adds up to 180 degrees. So these two you should remember, you should not forget. Okay, so these are some of the concepts regarding lines and angles. Okay, did you understand? So lines and angles you need to remember. These are some of the points I would like to say you regarding lines and angles. In the next class, we'll move on to shapes, and we will relate angles and lines in shapes. And in shapes, I mean, what are the criteria of angles and the lines to form a particular shape? We'll see them all in the next class. Hope you understood this concept of understanding elementary shapes. I'll meet you in the next class. Until then, it's bye from Anu from mathschool.1. Thank you.